Why do we have a Low Country for Kamala Facebook page? Okay, this is basically answered in the first question for all of you that came on board. Some of whom, if you are my friends or I know you or whatever, and I sent you a personal invitation, you didn't go through the vetting process of answering the questions, but you will be sent those questions in the near future. But in the questions, I had 3 questions that were asked of those that came and wanted to join the Low Country for Kamala Facebook page. The first one is the basic question. Okay, will you help Democrat Kamala Harris become the next president of the United States? And also our South Carolina Democratic candidates up and down the ballot to win on November 2024. That was a yes or no question. Why are we here? Why is this page there? In order to help Kamala Harris win and to help Democrats win up and down the ballot on November 5th. Just that simple. Anybody who had to answer the question there had to answer that question yes, or they were kicked out right away. Okay. Now, in order to accomplish this, okay, the first step is to know how we can get in touch with people. So that was the second question, how we can get in touch with people aside from on social media. So the second question was, how can we connect with you? Your name, your address, and your cell number. Okay. Noting that the organizers with Kamala for the Low Country for Kamala will not share any personal information without anybody's prior approval. It's not what we do. We don't act like those other folks do. They do shady stuff. We ain't shady. We're Democrats, and we're better than that. Okay. So now, for what reason? What is the page here for? All right. The page is meant to be an information source, a source where anyone who's a part of the page can share their political posts, events that are going on, memes that just happen to come up on their timeline and they want to share. Of course, there are rules that are associated with the page. One being that there's no profanity on the page, please. It's an ask. It's an ask. Okay. But aside from there, also that we make sure that we're treating one another with respect inside of the group, just like we should be doing anyway. Okay. But the purpose of the page is to spread information. First off, information about the elections and the election process, the how, what, when, where, and whys of the next 90 days, when early voting starts, how can you get registered, when is the last chance you'll have to get registered, what about ex-felons voting. All of these things will be explained on that page, so you'll have a ready resource to go to anytime you have questions about the election process between now and November 5th. If you have questions about your own registration, which we will continue to encourage everybody, check your registration. Go to scvotes.gov or scvotes.org, either one. It's going to take you to the same place, and check your registration to make sure that you are registered, because these Republicans have a way of purging people off of the rolls. So we have people that show up to cast their vote, and they get there and they find out that they're not registered anymore because they've been purged from the system. And it's too late, because you must be registered to vote 30 days in advance of the election here in South Carolina. You can't register to vote 1 week before the election. You can't go to early vote, find out that you're not registered, and go and register then and vote in that election. You have to be registered to vote 30 days in advance of the election. So there'll be more information shared. As a matter of fact, some of it is shared already on the Low Country for Kamala Facebook page, where anybody can have the questions that they have answered. And if you don't get the answer that you're looking for, message us, DM us. That's what we're here for. Okay. So election information will be there about over the next 90 days. What's going on? 96 days, I believe it is. What's going on? There'll be candidate information, not only just about Kamala Harris. Of course, there'll be information about her, what she's doing. But yesterday in Atlanta, I don't know whether you all listened to her speech yesterday, but it was incredible. It was incredible. I'm fired up and ready to go. I don't know about y'all, but she got me stoked, you know. And I hope that she's got that blue flame I just talked about. I hope it's building in everyone's heart, because that's what happens when you have hope. When you go from hopelessness to hope, you begin to say, yes, we can. Yes, we can. And she is instilling that in people. So, but for the page, not just Kamala Harris and the run for the presidency, it's also a place to share our other candidates who are running for office, okay? As long as it's done respectfully and not too much, you know, not one person or one candidate trying to take over the Lowcountry for Kamala. That name is there for a reason. But let us know about, you know, what's going on, who's running and who they're running against, you know. Like, let's just say Rita Atkins, I believe it is. She's running against the 3%er, Matt Lieber, former South Carolina House representative, who is his background includes being the equivalent of the Proud Boys. He's that kind of racist, okay? And so sometimes we need to know who a candidate is running against also, so we know just how hard we have to go. In District 36 right now, oh, there's a real racist named Tom Fernandez who's running against, what's his first name? I forget his first name. Last name is Stevens. Might be Darren Stevens. Okay. And this dude here, he's insane. He's insane. But he's running. He's the Republican candidate for the House of Representatives, District 36. So some of these races we got to definitely go harder on than others, okay? So to know what, who the candidates are, who the candidates are running against, especially if the one they're running against is a bigger threat than some of the others, all righty? But all of them, if they're Republicans, they're still a threat because they're all going to vote for Trump, bottom line, okay? Campaign events. Campaign events need to be on the page so people can monitor what's going on. So we'll know what's happening, where to go, when to be there, so we can support our candidates that are running, especially Kamala Harris as she comes into the Lowcountry. We want to be well represented at any event she has. Matter of fact, anywhere in South Carolina. If we can get there, we need to be there. That's what it's all about. Also on the page, there'll be volunteer opportunities, okay? I'm going to stop right there and give a big thank you to Ann Osterpage. I think I said that right. I hope I said it right, okay? For stepping up without hesitation to help with building out the page or moderate the page. I really appreciate it. Some of y'all know I got a couple of fires burning myself, my hands in a couple of different places. And a lot of times I'm so thin I can't get things done. And Ann stepped up without a question and said, hey, how can I help? And that's what volunteer opportunities are for us collectively here as the Lowcountry for Kamala. Everybody needs to step up. As a matter of fact, one of the third question that's asked for those that sign up and go through the 3-question period, the third question is about volunteering and about organizing. There are 4 questions that are asked right there, and each question requires an answer, okay? The one question is basic, okay? It's the basic question is, will you volunteer to help get out the vote? GOTV. If you see those initials, GOTV, that means get out the vote, okay? And if so, how will you volunteer to help get out the vote? And there were four ways that were there, and you could check any combination of the 4 or 1, or really, if you're just that person who doesn't think that they can do anything to help, I got news, you can. There's something that you can do. But you really don't necessarily have to do that. But we need volunteers. We need volunteers for phone banking, and or for postcard writing and letter writing, okay? It's unfair to have the enthusiasm that's being generated because Kamala Harris is now is going to be our candidate after the Democratic convention. She is going to be the Democratic candidate. And it's unfair to her and it's unfair to others who will readily roll up their sleeves and go to work trying to do anything they can to get the job done when we have others who could even just sit in the comfort of their home and make phone calls or write postcards. Okay. Then we have community outreach and canvassing. Those who have the ability and the time available to go into communities. And I suggest, and this is something different than what the party does. And I'm going to talk about the party, but not tonight, as far as what makes this a little bit different than what the party does. The way that we do things with the Lowcountry for Kamala is going to be slightly different. Community outreach and or canvassing should start in a person's own community, where you live at, to go to your neighbors, especially like-minded neighbors, and to just have conversations on them, asking them, do you, first off, will you be supporting Kamala Harris for president? And if not, we'll make sure that you have some talking points to go over them with, not to try to beat anybody over the head or make them do anything. No. It's all about cordial. If somebody says, no, I support the other side, the response is, well, right on. God bless you. Okay. Have a good evening. And move on. It doesn't have to be any contentions or arguments or anything like that. But to go to neighbors, even have a neighborhood meet and greet and bring in candidates or whatever. Okay. That's something they can be doing. But we have door-to-door knocking. We have things in the community that we need to be doing. And one of the things that anybody can do, we can help coordinate campaign events within our community. In our community, there might be 3 or 4 churches there. You can contact the pastor in your own community or a representative, the secretary or something, and set up a time when someone else can call. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, someone else could call and ask, can we set up a day when a candidate or can come, or a surrogate can come and speak at the church for 5 minutes about getting out the vote. This is not telling the church they have to endorse any candidates or anything. And as nonprofits, they have the ability to entertain anyone inside their church who wants to present. Not support as a church, but to present. And of course, inside the churches, any individual not representing the church itself or nonprofit itself, individuals can support any candidates they want. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make sure that we get surrogates or candidates inside of all of the churches in the Lowcountry, at least for 5 or 10 minutes, to just give them a little bit of why the Democratic way is the only way. Not to talk negatively about the other side, but just present what's right about the Democratic Party. That's all. So we need people in the communities to reach out to the churches in their community and to have those conversations, not only the churches, but host meet and greets in the community, or at your home, if you can do that. Host fundraisers, okay? All of these things can be done in specific communities and without waiting for the county party or anybody to do anything. We have to get out of that mindset. We have to get up and get involved ourselves, okay? And of course, finally, financially support Kamala Harris. That was one of the questions, okay? Kamala Harris and our other Democratic candidates up and down the ballot, okay? Financials, as a former candidate for for United States Senate and also a mayoral candidate, as much as I hated to do it, I realized that it was a necessary part of campaigning, fundraising. And as we look at the outpouring of love that's been shown for Kamala Harris, she's raised in a week over $200 million. And that's going to go a long way with guaranteeing her win, because television ads and campaigns, they're not inexpensive. They are costly to make these commitments and go here and go there. I had enough problems with running a 46 county campaign. And she's got a 50 state campaign that she's got to run. Okay. And likewise with our other candidates that are up and down the ballot. Michael Moore for District 1, he's got the entire district that he's got to cover. It's not an easy thing to do. Our House representatives, our South Carolina Senate candidates, they have their areas to cover and they need funding. So that the page will be a place where you can actually, there's a link there to support. I think there's one link already there for this being July 31st. Anybody who wants to contribute to Kamala Harris's campaign, to her campaign, as we close out the month of July. Every end of the month, you will see a big push to close out the month big. Please consider making a donation tonight before midnight. But if you can't make it tonight before midnight, you can do it in the morning. Well and good. But tonight before midnight is great. Just if you can, because everybody can't. If you can donate, please donate to be a part of history as we take our country by storm, away from those who want to take our country back to a place that's going to definitely not be a good place for everybody. Okay? All righty. Again, the group rules are there on the page. Anybody who wants to read the group rules, you can actually find them right there on the page. Please take time to read those, okay? All righty.